today we're talking to Scott. He used to be a soldier and now he's a fireman, and as a side hustle, he's built a £15,000 a month fire training business. He wants to go full time with it and turn it into a commercially profitable enterprise. He's got some questions. He needs to get more leads. Really, he needs to become the chief sales operator of his business. And that's what every entrepreneur should be doing. Let's find out in this conversation. Welcome back to the Business Broadcast. I'm James Sinclair. You can follow me on Instagram at James Sinclair Entrepreneur.
Here we go.
And if you want to follow James Burt on Instagram, go to James Burt Official. Now, who are we talking to today?
You're a genuine idiot. Today we're talking to Scott Matthey, and Scott owns a company which is called 1cstc.co.uk. But
easier for others to say.
Yeah, absolutely. So they do fire safety training and stuff, basically. That's what they do as a company. We're going 10 years. They do 15 grand a month, 2 members of staff. Their estimated monthly revenue, no, I've already told you that's 15 grand a month. He has Scott and one other self-employed. Oh, he has a self-employed team of trainers who go and deliver the training for people as well.
I mean, he's gone to town on the notes here.
Oh my good God. You think that's bad? Scroll down. Where do you want to be? So we always ask our entrepreneurs and our guests about their challenges, their 3 biggest challenges, of which we've got a lot here. Where do you want to be?
Just summarise it. Just summarise it.
I don't even know how to summarise it. I haven't looked at it yet. A biggest challenge, getting myself into a position where I can market and sell the business better. We have been fortunate that word of mouth has allowed us to grow and work regularly with some of the large national companies, such as Cadbury's and Britvic, but word of mouth takes too long. So basically wants more leads.
I mean, just do some Google ads. Thanks for coming on.
There you go. That's that one done. Challenge number 2. Some clients use one of our services, but they don't need to see us again for 3 years to have a renewal of that service. They need to get more current clients and also offer new services that give us more regular touch points with clients.
A business that folds into this business.
Sorted. That's challenge number 2. Challenge number 3, understanding how to best run the business as for the last decade, it's basically given me a bit of money and paid for things. Now I want to drive things on and grow it with the right team around me, both back of house and business growth, and out rather than being out carrying out the services.
Don't do that. Just employ people.
Sorted. This might be the shortest podcast
ever.
I
like these ones though. I mean, my methodology for this is get good at Google Ads, and that might be using a professional Google Ads agency. Yeah. Don't try and do it yourself.
No.
Don't be an idiot. Then a smattering long-term SEO plan.
Oh, a smattering of SEO.
But the reason is...
That'd be a good name for an SEO company, wouldn't it? Smattering.
But I think the SEO thing can sometimes take a couple of years to really do well with articles.
Builds massive authority.
Yep.
24 months down the line.
Yep. Then I would be buying associated businesses, like a fire extinguisher company, a fire alarm installation company. There'll be loads of those if you go hunting and looking. And then what was the third one? Then remember E plus M equals S. And what does E plus M equals S stand for?
Entrepreneurship plus management equals success.
Yep. So we need to just employ some people, and that might mean that we have to sacrifice some of our own pennies for a while.
Which is what he's been having at the moment.
Which no one wants to do.
First Choice, by the way. First Choice Safety Training and Consultancy is the name of the company. I gave out the URL earlier, not the name of the company. Sorry.
It's funny. I mean, he's obviously doing quite well with his holiday business, and then went into... See if you picked up that. Did you?
Scott,
are they still going First Choice holidays?
I don't know if they do. No, it became... Didn't TUI buy them all up?
TUI.
Or one of those other companies.
Do you like the name TUI?
No, I don't.
How did you spell that? TWOEY? No, TUI. Said no one ever.
Said no one ever. Yes. Very strange bit of branding that was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A couple more things on Scott before we move on. Biggest challenge. We always ask our entrepreneurs, what's the biggest challenge? He said, getting myself into a position. No, we've already said that. Second biggest challenge, third biggest challenge. Right. We also ask people where they want to be in 1 year's time. He said, I want to be in a better headspace. I want to be in a better financial position. And I want to be pushing the business onto more national, multi-sited companies that give us the best chance of growth, but still working with our most customers. He's followed the James Sinclair playbook here, isn't he? Our most customers that are smaller but use us less frequently. We are now an IOSH centre. Sorry to hear that. And are in the process of being trained to be able to... Oh, fine. To be able to offer IOSH. Behavioral science will be one of only a handful of companies worldwide able to offer this. We will move towards a NEBOSH centre. I mean, these are all the acronyms are very exciting. And we're looking to provide train-the-trainer courses, offer apprenticeships. This will set us apart from most of the other safety companies as it opens us up to high-level clients and will mean that our average order value will greatly increase. I mean, he's saying all the right stuff, isn't he?
I think we need to just get him on, JD.
He's saying all the right stuff. Does he make the profit he wants to make? He says, no. Does he spend his time today in the business? He's doing everything, being a firefighter. We can't actually say that in that space, can you? And then he's got some questions he'd like to ask you. Yeah, shall we get him on? What about do you like all the...
I think we need another microphone, though.
Why?
For me, you and your little friend.
Hayley said to me today, she went, do you want some concealer? I was like, I don't care.
Oh, I think
don't
you
want
need some concealer.
Yeah, but
I feel like they're going to knock me out.
I'm having a bad reaction.
I'm worried
to
that I'm going to have to start paying business rates on that.
Wow. Your online bullying has gone one step too far.
I don't want to get in trouble with the local planning authority.
So if you hear that on the microphone, that's just my extra friend on my face.
I mean, it does mean that you've got youthful energy still in you.
Yeah, I shouldn't have spots at 41 years old, should I?
When is your birthday? What month?
September.
September.
I'm
so
a
you're
Virgo.
42 this year?
42 this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Being 39 feels so much better sitting next to you.
Does it?
Yeah.
When's your birthday?
June.
It's the big 40.
Yeah, then it's all downhill from there.
Oh, yeah.
Which I guess what I want to do for my birthday.
Naked skydive.
No. Oh, you're in the right area though. No. I'll tell you, I was going to have a big party. I think I am going to organise a shindig of sorts now. I was going to have a big dinner thing, but I'm getting peer pressure from her indoors and others.
What, to have a party?
You need to have a party, you know, have it in the hotel, have it around the city, have it at home or whatever. So I'm going to start organising.
We should have a 40th birthday in here. Can we have one in here?
That affects trade though for me because Saturday's a big day. And that'd be the worst birthday present ever for me.
It's cost you money and it's lost you money at the same time.
No, listen to me. I want to tell you what I want to do, and you will be invited.
Okay.
I wonder if you will come.
I will come this time.
I've spoken to Chuds about it loosely as well. His eyebrows are working.
I didn't know you could do that. That's very cool. Oh, that's cool, isn't it?
That's Olympic Games.
Can you do the eyebrow
Not
thing?
like that.
No.
You just did it.
No, but Chuds, you got them like choreographed there.
The viewers will just have to guess.
That was pretty impressive.
That was, wasn't it?
It was like,
like a James Bond
to give
baddie.
viewers an understanding of what he done. You know, them muscle men can do that with their pecs.
The boob dance.
Chuds can do it with his eyebrows.
That's very good. Anyway, what do you want to do for your birthday?
I want to climb Snowdonia.
Here you go. There's a stupid joke coming in.
No, there is no stupid joke. So Gabs, my PT, is organising the weekend. Nats is coming. My cousin Hayley is coming. I'm going to go in my new camper van. I wonder if you'd like to come. Chuds, I discussed this with you, didn't I?
Yeah. I thought we were going to do the 3 Peaks.
The 3 Peaks, yeah. Is that not the same thing?
No, Snowdonia is one of 3.
It's
one of 3.
Yeah, one of them, yeah.
Have you done it before, Chuds?
Yeah.
Oh, you've done all 3?
2 of them, not the one in Scotland.
In the 24 hours?
No, I did Snowdonia separately.
Gotcha.
I can't remember. Years ago.
That's my big aim for this year. I'm really looking forward to doing that.
Oh, that'd be great.
Because everyone tells me the views are stunning.
Yes.
If it's cloudy, then they're not. Because
everyone's told me, Chuds tells me the views are cloudy.
Cloud, of course he does.
Yeah, it's a risk.
Always likes to dampen it down a little bit, doesn't he?
I don't want you to think it's going to be beautiful and you get there and it's raining.
You should be, but if it's raining, that's even better.
But it's Wales, isn't
then you have to do all that work for no payoff. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Even more.
No, but I'm looking forward to it because there's some good people going. So Gabs is great, my PT. Chuds, obviously, I like to spend a lot of time and I like being with him. I think James Martin's going to come.
Of course he is.
I think you might come.
Oh, 100% I'll be out for that. Definitely.
My cousin Hayley.
Camping and stuff. Well, you're in a camper van, yeah.
Yeah, but I've got spare room in my camper van.
Who's that for?
James Martin's got a spare room in his camper van.
Oh yeah,
Gabs has done
bunk
this,
up with Martin
and he said that there's
right.
a really nice campsite, and we'll set it all up. We've got the fires going.
It'd be brilliant.
Yeah,
yeah, great fun. I'm out for that.
Look at Chuds. Why are you looking like that?
I can't wait to see you in a camping environment because it's not the comfort that I think you imagine it is.
It will be in
here.
van.
Have you seen it?
I still think it's going to be colder and wetter than you think, and I've just never seen you in that environment.
Not in my camper van. I've got a diesel heating thing in it that just keeps it toasty and warm all the time.
Have you got it already?
It arrives in 2 weeks, baby cakes.
Does it? Oh, just in time for your birthday.
Oh yeah. Oh,
that's very cool. Oh, we'll do that. That'll be brilliant. I'm looking forward to that. How did we get onto that conversation from Scott's business?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
40th birthday, you said you're 39, youthful age, spots.
Oh, he was doing the spot joke. Okay,
that's
got
right,
it. Sure. Right. I feel very self-conscious now. No, I don't. I couldn't care less.
Well,
should we
I'd
just
like
get him
to
on?
point out what we're doing next.
We haven't done our stupid bits yet. Should we do
No,
our stupid
let's do
bits?
stupid
Quickly,
bits.
let's do stupid
Here we
bits.
go.
It's time for interesting fact or quote of the week.
Interesting quote or fact.
Interesting quote or fact.
It's time for the interesting quote or fact of the week.
It's a point in the show where we have an interesting fact or quote. That's right. We either talk about business or we talk about something that's inspired us. A motivational quote of sorts. What you got? You got a quote or a fact?
Sorry, that was my wife just moaning about something that needs to be done at home. So,
Sure.
oh dear. There is a Japanese legend.
Really? Do you want to try and say that again?
There is a Japanese legend.
Perfect.
There's a Japanese legend that says, if you get on the wrong train, get off at the nearest station. The longer it takes you to get off, the more expensive the return trip will be.
That
It's
is
not. And it's
very-
not only about trains. Now I'm going to read that
That is very good.
in English now. There is a Japanese legend that says, if you get on the wrong train, get off at the nearest station. The longer it takes you to get off,
So
the
good.
more expensive the return
so
trip will be.
good.
And it's not only about trains.
That is true. What in your lifetime? What was the train that you should have got off quicker?
Oh, actually a few. Doing this podcast with you.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
Let me think about that. There's lots that come to my head, but I think a lot of people in relationships that stay in them that they shouldn't be. They're bad environments.
Yes.
Businesses that I was running that I know I should be getting out of sooner rather than keep on persevering.
Persevering. You're
Persevering.
really struggling today, aren't you? with
Persevering with.
I think that environment thing. I think if you are in a bad environment or a bad relationship, I think everything else becomes more difficult. I think if you're in a good place in a relationship or an environment, I think everything else is manageable. But the other way around, not at all. If you're like, when you have an argument with the missus and she's like, ugh, and especially if it drags on for a couple of days, it's just like everything just feels like heavy, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the old Jim Rohn quote that's similar to that.
Come on then, give it to us in Jim Rohn.
No.
Now.
If you're not happy with where you're at, move. You're not a tree. Which is a similar thing, isn't it?
He turned to a Sesame Street character. Hi there. He turned to cover the frog.
Move, you're not a tree.
Yeah, it's very true though.
No. I like that one. That's very good.
Go on, what other
sent me
trains
that.
did you got
Someone
off?
sent me that on Instagram a couple of weeks ago. I'm getting some good ones. Other trains, actually, I think staying on my Jimbo train, the entertainment train that I was on, stopped me from growing my business, but I love doing it so much.
Really?
Yeah.
But that made you who you are, didn't it?
Yeah, I appreciate that, but I've got a whole notes section of great quotes and facts now. We're not really doing many facts on this show. It's become
It's very quote heavy.
notes.
Lee Brooker messaged me on Instagram yesterday. No, WhatsApp. No, Facebook. He's been on the podcast before. He was on in 2020. He has a school photography business. He said, I've got one for you. And he said, here's a quote for, here's one for your quote or fact of the week. You will always get what you are prepared to take.
Yeah.
You will always get what you're prepared to take.
Interesting.
I like that. Like if you put up with like bad clients, you always get them.
Yeah. No, I
Put up
think
with late
that's-
pays, you always get them.
Funny, I was just thinking
Thanks, Lee.
about a really good, interesting fact that I did have. Now I've completely forgotten about it because we do need to make sure the facts get in here as well. Although I saw a big container port when I was driving through China. And
Did you count them? Was there 20,000 on there?
we saw a container ship being loaded and we looked out the window and we went, oh yeah, we really can see our 20,000 containers.
Really?
Because actually you see them on the water and they look much smaller.
yeah.
When you're there, like these things are massive.
Colossal.
And they go right in and they stack them high. Yeah.
How many people do you reckon run that boat when it's on the water? Because there's not a lot to do on it, is there?
12.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. You need 3 or 4 engineers, wouldn't you?
I would not fancy a life at sea. It scares me.
No.
Dark water scares me. Don't like it.
How much do you think an EasyJet plane is?
To buy, 48 million quid.
Apparently, it's around 80 million quid for one of them.
Is it?
It's a lot to pay back, isn't it?
That is a lot to pay back. Unless you are Richard Branson. You ever heard the story? Well, you definitely heard the story.
That's been doing the rounds recently, isn't it?
It has.
Yeah, but how we got...
There's a new podcast. It must be like an anniversary of the book coming out or
how
something.
How we got it going with no money, yeah.
No money, because they did a sale or rent back to him, didn't they?
But that is... Most plane companies don't buy the planes, other than Mr. O'Leary from Ryanair. He does buy the planes, but most of them are leased. They're a lot of money. Those big ones are like 250 million quid.
That's a lot of dough, isn't it?
And that's why they land... Then they get back in the air, don't they, within an hour? Because that's how they have to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there you go. There's an interesting fact or quote of the week for you. Hope you've all enjoyed that. Shall we just get Scott on? Because we've got a lot of questions and he's got a lot of questions for you. So let's do it.
Hey, gang, we're going back to the pod in just a moment, but I wanted to tell you about Entrepreneurs University. This is a platform that I've created for entrepreneurs and business owners that are serious about growth. There's 100 video lessons from me on everything in business, raising finance, buying companies, property investment, and everything in between. Attached to each video is a downloadable PDF that goes into more detail about what we've learned in the video. It goes one step further than that because I've also put stuff that you won't get anywhere else onto Entrepreneurs University. The lessons go into way more detail, but not just that. You're going to get my business plans, my spreadsheets, and all the files that I use to drive the KPIs in my business. Just think about how powerful that could be for your business. And here's the good news. You can try Entrepreneurs University for free. 14-day free trial. After that, it will cost you just $49.99 a month. That's less than a pair of Nikes to grow the profitability in your business. There's a link in the video description, and I cannot wait to see you in Entrepreneurs University.
Scott, how the devil are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys?
We are doing very well, thank you, my friend. Very well indeed. Right, give us a quick synopsis, mate, of you and First Choice Safety Training and Consultancy so that the listener and the beautiful watcher understands who you are, what you do, and how you got to where you got to.
So this company was born about 10 years ago out of necessity. There was going to be redundancies made in the fire service. And fearing for my job, I started the business. I'd already been a trainer. I started the business in fear of my role being made redundant. So I started it, always kept it as a sort of a plan B. Luckily, I didn't lose my role in the fire service, but I have taken that down to part-time now to run the business. And then from there, I actually enjoy running the business a heck of a lot more. It just turns out that because I've been in uniform services, I don't quite understand business as well as I possibly should do, hence why 10 years, it was just a bit of a thing that I did in the background. But for the next 10 years, I really want to push it on and make it bigger and better.
So you're still in the fire service?
Yes, but at reduced hours now. So I used to work 42 hours a week for the fire service, and it now equates to about 21 hours a week with some holiday.
Right.
Except.
So you've got a 15 grand a month business that's part time.
Yeah, and it's never for the first 10 years. It wasn't even run like a part time business. It was just a bit of a hobby that I had in the background.
This is very interesting because you talked about the train you should have got off Jimbo a minute ago, getting rid of the Jimbo persona a lot quicker.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and now we're talking. Scott's been part time in it for 10 years. What's the reticence to go full time?
Funny thing is, if you'd got made redundant, your business probably would have been a lot bigger.
Yeah.
It would have been very scary at the time, but you would have forced yourself to grow, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but I've noticed that in myself. I had that safety, that comfort blanket of having something behind me that I could always rely to fall back on. And I 100% agree that if I'd have just either left the fire service or been chucked out the fire service, I'd have had to have pushed on. There'd been no plan B. My job in the military was shooting things or blowing things up, and there's not much call for that. So it would have been that I'd have had to grow the business a lot quicker.
Absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of people, bad news or bad things happening to you can be the blessing that you don't.
Doesn't feel like it at the time.
That's why Christians say God works in mysterious ways. Yeah, okay, cool. Right, well, let's get on with the challenges, JB.
Yeah, so you've sent in some quite chunky challenges. So I'll read through them while you're here, because then you can give us a bit more context, if you don't mind. So your biggest challenge, you said, was getting myself into a position where I can market and sell the business better. We have been fortunate that word of mouth has allowed us to grow and work regularly with some large national companies such as Cadbury's and Britvic, but word of mouth takes too long. As well as running the business, I've spent the last 29 years in the military, 9 years, and then the fire service, 20 years, and I feel like though we are brilliant at what we do, I don't know how to shout it from the rooftops, as I've never been at the helm of a profit-driven organisation before. I think you said it before, didn't you? Google Ads.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be doing Google Ads, but getting a really good agency that knows their onions on this stuff. The other thing as well is I'll make sure that you get in touch with a tender company so you can tender for all this stuff with local authorities. They have to put it out for tenders. Make sure you're doing tenders every single week. Big companies need to do that as well, and I think you'll find that it really does help. So that's what I would be doing there. And then once you're making some pennies, invest some pennies into making sure that your website is really SEO friendly so that it drives in organic leads. You know, if you really get going on this, you probably could get 10 to 20 leads a day if you get good Google ads, good tenders coming in, and then slowly the SEO working. So that's how I'd solve that.
Currently, I'm working with a company. It's not been going for long, so they are still doing their testing to see what words are working and what phrases and SEO and stuff is working. So I have actually employed a company to do that, but it's quite in the early stages. But one of the things that I didn't know if you'd be able to steer me in the right direction. So the pay-per-click campaigns seem to be coming up with local organizations that, yes, 100% we want to work with, but they're not really throwing up any of the big nationals that we'd love to work with or work with more.
Well, maybe then you need to do some direct approach them through tenders, because the big stuff, they will not be doing.
They're not Google searching it, are they?
They're putting it out to tender, and that's how they do it, because that'll be the board's decision or the council's decision. You'd have to go through a tender process. So there's companies out there like Tender Force. And just put your type of business, and then the word tenders. So what you want to win, and the word tenders into Google, 3 or 4 will probably come up and start tendering, baby.
And would you recommend for the first couple? I've never written a tender before. Would you recommend just cracking on and writing some tenders, or would you get a company in to maybe write the first couple so that I can have clear in my mind?
Once, if you're doing enough, you'll probably employ someone just to fill in tenders. That'd be their sole job.
Okay.
I know that's mad, isn't it? But that's a lot of companies will have. The big companies will have 2 or 3 people just doing tenders.
Until that point, would you recommend getting an outside?
You can get a consultant that will help you part time on that. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Awesome.
And even if you don't win the tenders, you get told why you didn't win them, and then you just get better and better. There is no bad use of time going in for tenders, because when you lose them, you go through a big learning process about how big companies think.
I'd also check as well with your agency, because you mentioned SEO and you mentioned pay-per-click at the same time. You really ideally want them to do one or the other. You don't really want a generalised agency.
Absolutely.
Because they'll do an all right job at both, but they won't be amazing at either. And SEO, really, you said that word of mouth is too slow. Same with SEO. SEO is going to pay off. An article you put on there now will pay off in 24 months, realistically. Maybe a little bit quicker, but it's not a put a pound in and get £2 out the fruit machine like it is with Google Ads if you get it done the right way. And I would also say that get them to report back to you each month, even if you don't understand it. Just start to gain an understanding of it, and just the fact that they know that you're sense checking it every month, I think you'll find that the quality of the work they do will improve.
Yeah, and that's 100% right. So I'm by no means slagging off the company that I currently work with, but they do video production, they do podcast production, they do PPC, they do SEO. So like you say, they are probably a jack of all trades and a master of none, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say that's probably sounds likely. No bad thing to start out with, but as you want to get more, you need someone that's just going to, because this is a Google Ads game. Companies are going to they're going to realize they've got a requirement for it. Apart from the bigger ones who, like I say, they're going to have a procurement list and they're going to work off the basis of tenders. But for those mid-sized companies, they are going to go, oh, we need that thing doing, and they will Google it. And
I
then
mean, there's another thing though as well, Scott. If you think of the 20 companies that you most want to work with, write them down and then call them up. Just call up reception and say, look, we're a fire company. Who do I need to speak to? Who's in charge of this? Put that into LinkedIn, turn up, talk to them, do whatever you need to do. That's how, organizations are built. I had a fantastic story and I love telling this story about a guy that I know very well that built a massive insurance company into fleet insurance. So this is like an Eddie Stobart. You got 20 lorries and you need them.
Yeah.
So what did he do in the 1960s when he started his business? He went and got like a deck chair, like a fold-out picnic chair. Do you know what one of the...
Yeah.
One of them
stripy one at the bench. Yeah.
And he sat in the middle of a roundabout on it with a notepad. And as the lorries drove past, he would write down their numbers.
Oh, this is brilliant.
And he would get 40 numbers a day. And then the next day he would call all those 40 numbers up and place business that day. The next day back on the roundabout. Then get 40 numbers, ring up, And he built a multi-million-pound business using that tactic. And I want that little story there to be a big reminder for that's what entrepreneurship is.
That's brilliant. It's become too easy these days, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, I need to do this, that and the other and all the clever stuff. Just do the basics and do it well. Pick up the phone. I don't think there's anything better for opening business than picking up the phone.
I love it, 40 numbers.
That's such a great concept, isn't it? Then phone them all the next day. Brilliant. Yeah. Right, we're going to your second biggest challenge now then, Scott. So your second biggest challenge, you said that some of our customers use one of our services and then they don't need to see us again for 3 years to have a renewal of that service. I need to get more from current clients and also offer new services that give us more regular touch points with the clients. We are looking at offering a retainer package. We have one current client as a trial. We're also moving towards higher ticket offerings that will generate higher profit. Tell us a bit more about that challenge, mate.
So we do first aid training, manual handling training, mental health first aid, fire, that sort of stuff. But generally, as a rule of thumb, they renew every 3 years. So if you've only got a small pool of people and you train up 10% of them to be first aiders, let's say, then they might not need to see us for another 3 years until it's the rescheduled time of being requalified. And we find that happens with a lot of companies. They'll only need us once for one thing, and then they don't need to see us for 3 years. And trying to do the higher ticket prices. So we are slowly moving into bigger things. So our average order value, I know you said we swallowed the James Sinclair playbook, but our average order value sits at about 600 plus VAT at the minute for our own work. Whereas if we do some of the other things that we're currently just being accredited for now, that will massively increase. It will hugely increase into 4 figures. So it's just trying to get the business away from those less often low ticket services that we offer into, if they are going to be less often, let's have them as higher tickets, but let's also be able to provide a better service to a higher level of client.
Yeah, the thing is, though, on that, just sitting on the other side as a business owner, businesses looking to make efficiencies and savings more than ever. I don't know if you're seeing that.
Yeah. And one of the things that we were looking at, I know that you said it's not political, this podcast, but you have mentioned Rachel Reeves a couple of times. We are noticing that clients are starting to move away from hiring health and safety people within their business and using organizations like ours that we can just have a health and safety advisor go into their business 1-2 days a month, whatever it may be, rather than hiring someone, just uses externally as an arm's length service. And quite a lot of businesses are starting to move towards that with the cost of taking on people with PAYE and national insurance, etc.
I'm sure that will be happening.
Yeah. And that would you recommend that as a big push, as something to really, really try and roll out and push forward?
I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of things, like you want the big customers, that you want more leads. I think you get more leads coming into the business, then you can make the decision of who you really best want to serve. What's happening here is it's a grab for turnover. It's anything that comes in, we will do. Once you've got more leads coming in, you can afford to be more fussy to choose exactly what you want.
Yes, that is exactly what we want. So some like James mentioned earlier, some of the bigger clients that we work with, they'll use us multiple times a year. They've got multi-sites around the UK, and they'll often do bigger projects with us as well. Like we've had it where several of our clients will close down whole big multi-million-pound factories for a day and give us all of their staff for a day to do safety days with them, where we'll do round robins of different things. So those organisations are absolutely brilliant with us, and they give us really, really good chances to do some really, really good stuff with their staff. That's memorable.
Well, there you go. I think you know the answer to that.
And if that's the sort of client that you want, then you need to make more of a song and dance about that, I would say, on the website.
Yeah, we don't promote it very well, to be honest. It had the safety days haven't even got a page on the website. But the website is being redone at the minute. We've just had some photos taken last week, and it is being redone at the minute. But maybe I need to choose wisely who I use, because it would have been probably going to the same
I was
organisation.
about to say, is it going to be the same lot as to the SEO and the Google ads? Because
Yes, yeah. So maybe I need to have a second look at that.
maybe look at some
yeah.
competitors who are in your marketplace who've got great websites and see what they're doing. Because the one thing I was going to say on that was actually, in terms of your training course on the website, my God, there's a lot of information, but I appreciate in your space there maybe needs to be. But I would potentially have on each of the sort of course pages would be a download about it. So you can get that to, in a nicer format. You can maybe get people to give you their email address for the, like a PDF about the course itself, get more information pack or something like that. And you could dress that up as a 2 or 3 page PDF, which would look nicer, would do a better job of selling. And then you've also grabbed their data as well. I know you've got an inquiry form on the page itself, but you're not giving them anything for that, if that makes sense. Whereas with the PDF, if it was behind not a paywall, but if it was behind an email address, then you're going to be capturing all of those emails as well.
100%. It is something we've looked at for a little while, even if it was just like we've started putting out, or we've been doing it for a while, videos on YouTube, we share them to LinkedIn, things like that. But some of them are real sort of life-saving stuff for the home, the business, whatever it may be. And I was actually thinking about putting some of them behind that, but it's readily available on YouTube, so I didn't think it would work.
No, and with that one, you want people to get the information and then go, oh, there's real value in what these guys do. That I don't think you need to put behind a paywall. But if they've got to the point where they've got enough of a purchasing intent that they've gone to the website, they go to training courses, they go to the drop down, they go 3-day first aid at work course, and they click onto it, like they're pretty far in then at that point, if that makes sense. So I think you could give them something, because otherwise it's just a lot of words on that page. Or maybe you have to do like a little video about why it's an important course, or who you've worked with, or something like that. Speak to your web design people about that, though, because there's definitely more you can do to convert. Because you're well and good getting more traffic to your site, but also, is it going to convert? So that's another thing that I'd say. And also with the final thing on this, the Google ads, you should be pushing those to a sales page. Don't just do Google ads. And this is what a lot of companies do. Don't just do Google ads to a general website page, because there's so many places that you can lose that lead. What you want is it going to a specific landing page for a specific thing. So if it is like a fire safety advert, you want them to go into a fire safety sales page or a squeeze page, so that you can try and sell them and convert them from about that one thing. Because if you're just doing it, Google, 25 quid a day going to 1ctsc.co.uk, there's you can't see if it's an efficient use of budget and spend, because you're potentially losing them in too many places.
I get that. Yeah, it seems to be, from the initial couple of months that we've run the Google AdWords, we're getting quite a high click-through rate, but then they don't really convert when they get there. So there's something wrong with the website that they aren't converting.
Where are you pushing them to, though? Just to the website?
There's the fire safety. It's at the minute, it's just a fire, because I've got a team of firefighters, mainly firefighters around me. I've got paramedics and things like that. These people, they're easy for me to get hold of, and because I've got a full-time job firefighting, I can then just give them 1 or 2 days a week doing this stuff. So fire seemed the obvious one. So what we're doing is we're pushing them towards a fire safety landing page, which should be, I mean, in my limited understanding, it should be set up for that, but they still don't seem to be converting.
Okay. Get them to report back on that and see where it's actually going. I'd say that would be definitely a good thing to do. Right. Well, let's move on to your final question, your final challenge. You said that your final third biggest challenge is understanding how to best run the business as a business. For the last decade, it's basically given me a bit of money and paid for things. I now want to drive things on and grow with the right team around me, both back of house, within with business growth, etc., and out instead of out carrying out the services to clients. So tell us a bit more about that challenge.
Yeah, so back in the day, it seemed to be that I felt lucky. We were doing some third-party work, and I thought this running a business lark is easy. But what I didn't realise was that I wasn't making as much profit doing third-party work for other people. And if that all dried up, then I've got nothing for myself. So it's now just getting to the point where we push and have way more of our own clients. But I've never really come from that type of industry. I've always been military. I've always been fire service. Both not very good at spending their money and using taxpayers' money very effectively. So it's just trying to learn how to run the business properly. Really, we use Zero. We've got all that sort of stuff there, but it's just understanding the numbers, where to best push finances. If we budget for things, then where is that budget going to go to? How can we track it? How can we trace it? So just basically trying to run the business better, because I've never really had to before, and it's sort of learning on the job 10 years in.
I think what's really important is learn how to get more leads and more cash flow into the business. You know, you're the first job is you're a salesperson, and generating revenue, keeping the cash flow going keeps the business going. As soon as you put yourself into a mindset that your primary job is sales, then you employ a bookkeeper or an accountant in-house that manages your money for you. And you make sure you're growing the business, not operating the business. This is the thing, you know, lots of business owners really don't get that they are the chief sales operations manager of the business rather than the operator of the business. Once they get over that, they become more successful.
It's through your podcast, to be fair, that I've learned that, and I am slowly starting to initiate that in. But one of my I think I've got that typical sort of entrepreneurial brain where it goes, let's do lots of different things at the same time. And what I found is if I don't target down on one sector, then I don't target any sectors. So what I'm really trying to sort of nail down at the minute is just trying to look at doing one sector for, say, 6 months and really, really hit that hard. And then after 6 months, put the planning in and hit a different sector for 6 months. So there
what
is
do you
some
mean
stuff
sector?
going on
What
with
does
it.
sector mean?
So let's just say the care sector. So care homes and care providers. So really knuckle down.
I think you just need to make 100 calls a day and get in the car and make 20 appointments a day, knock on doors and say, do you need any fire? If you did that for a month, your business will explode. Not to use the fire analogy there.
Very nice.
No one's doing that. But the few people that do it really win.
No, 100%.
Because everyone is your customer, aren't they? I mean, every business needs this stuff.
And that's sometimes to a disadvantage to me, where my brain just goes, there's so many companies that I don't know who to try and go for.
No,
would you recommend just driving to an industrial park?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great thing, an industrial park. You think about those people that are ice cream van men and they just go down the street, put their chimes on, and hopefully customers come out. They keep doing it and they get some money at the end of the day, but they're selling a £3, £4, £5 ice cream. You could go around industrial estates and literally, I think if you did that all day for a month, I think you'd have a 40, 50 grand a month business very quickly. Yeah,
100%. And would you go armed with literature to be able to leave on the doorstep if you don't get past the gatekeeper, or is it just a case of just keep knocking the door? Take a little.
Well, I'll tell you the story. I mean, all of those things do help, but they shouldn't stop you from going out and doing it. And I like to tell the Teddy-tastic story here. We built a multi-million-pound business without a brochure, without product, without websites. What I did was I rang all the visitor attractions in Essex and said, hey, look, I see you're running a Christmas grotto this year. We've made a Make-A-Bear product. Rather than having some plastic took that you usually get from the pound shop as the gift from Father Christmas, what about giving them a teddy bear that they make at the end of the day? Wow. I said, look, you can buy them from me and whatever you don't sell, you give back to me at the end of the year. So there's no risk for you. So how many kids do you think you usually have? Well, probably 5,000. Okay, well, look, give me a deposit for 30% of the order, and then I'll deliver them in December. I took those deposits, sent them money to China, got the product made, and everyone was having the same teddy bear. And that seller return thing that I offered, I did because I removed their risk. Hardly anyone returned any of the product. But I was thinking, what is the anxiety people would have with ordering me? So the seller return removed, that I got it cash flow because I was asking for the deposit to pay into me. And then very quickly I built this business. Then we started doing trade shows when we had some product. Then we started websites, and then we started brochures and all of that stuff. But people don't want to pick up the phone and make the calls. But it does work.
Was it actually you that picked up the phone and did it?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
And had you already been doing teddies at the Christmas Grotto at Marsh Farm at this point?
Yeah, I did. And I was desperate to make I really needed an order of about 50,000, and I
just couldn't do it by yourself.
Couldn't do it by myself. So I rang 10 farm parks. They all said yes. Then I rang play centres. It was tough, in the first couple of years. It was still on.
But you were doing the actual cold calling.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I still get, I went to, I went and got a new car yesterday, and I got there early because it's bank holiday, and there was a little cafe, and I found out, went in there, I found out they got 10 cafes. So who's the manager here? Well, I own Cafe Deli Wholesale. I'd love to supply food and drink for you. Yeah, what are you paying? Can I help you? I just turn into sales because I'm there. I took the pictures, copies of their invoices, sent it to the team, and I'll follow. Yeah. Because that, getting sales in is the primary objective of the business owner.
Yeah, too right.
What happens to business owners is they get comfortable and they go into operations because they feel like there's a sense of achievement.
Or they're not willing to be uncomfortable because actually going around trading estates and walking through the door unannounced and going, hello, we do this thing.
But Scott, I promise you, when you first started out, you didn't have access to Google Ads or your £15,000 a month. So you would have done something very entrepreneurial to get your first customer. Let's ask that question. How did you get your first customer?
Fortunately, it was off Google. I do apologise, but yeah, it was off Google. But then from there, because we don't want to blow our own trumpet, but we are very good at what we do because we've got real life experience, and we bring weird things like live fire and smokehouses and all these weird and wonderful things. But we tend to retain our clients. So those ones that we got in the early days, they've taken us on to the next company and the next company and the next company.
So you now live by word of mouth, which is what most successful businesses do. And then when you've got word of mouth bringing you in loads of work, if you then go and do some good old fashioned business development, it can be so exciting. So what do you mean you got your first customer off of Google?
So we put our website up on Google, and unfortunately they had a visit from the fire service. The fire service were looking to close them down. They looked on and seen us and says, can you come in and help us sort of almost keep the fire service from their door by giving them a lot of things in a short period of time. So
but how did they find you? Did the fire service recommend you?
No, I presume it was just a case of typing in fire company Leicester, something like that, and they found us.
Right, well, that's good.
Yep.
That's good.
And we do show up in weird and wonderful places from Google. Like we mainly do our Google pay-per-clicks with a 1 hour circle of where we are based in Leicester. But we will have weird and wonderful things coming in from Gloucester and London and things like that. Although we do work nationwide, I just can't fathom how the algorithm works properly for us to show in London when we're competing against all those other London companies that are actually based there. So yeah, we do get weird and wonderful algorithms chucking us up, but yeah, it works quite well for us.
Also, what you said about your Google ads and stuff, or you want national companies, but they're all local. That's because you are targeting 1 hour from where you are, and also if you're a small team at the moment, that probably makes sense to dominate that area and then spread out from there.
And we've tried to come up with, we're looking at initiatives to try and get into some of those bigger companies. So aligning to national bodies and things like that, so that we can then go into their members because we are aligned to that national body. So we're trying to be a little bit more cute in how we do it with say a national body attached to our company name. So those are the sorts of things that I'm currently putting in place at the moment.
Well, it sounds like you're making a lot of the right moves. You've got questions that you'd like to ask to Jimbo, because we asked you, what did you spend time day to day doing in the business? You said a little bit of everything: being a firefighter, contacting clients, paying staff, carrying out some of the services, social media, PPC, being tired and sometimes being burnt out. I think, like say, if you could shift your mentality to becoming the CSO, the chief sales officer of the company, then you could take a lot of those, you're turning over money, so you could potentially, bookkeeping and that kind of stuff, outsource it to somebody else, so you are just focusing on the primary task. But questions you'd like to ask Jimbo. So your first question was that although we still service smaller companies, and ideally we would want larger nationals, how do we target more companies? I think we've covered that one, haven't we? So question 2, I've bought and read your book, Getting Customers. Oh, he likes that. He likes that. We are going to be, we'll be coming to your business masterclass in September as well.
Look forward to seeing you there, baby.
I'm an avid watcher and listener of your videos and pods, but do I need to get to just get on the phone and email and pound the streets to get over the fear of rejection, to get more of the clients that we have? We are brilliant at what we do, but I've got some little niggles of doubt sometimes holds me back. I'm trying hard to change multiple approaches, including getting onto podcasts. Soon we start my own podcast.
I think we've discussed this and I think we've covered this, but really what rather than just pounding the streets, write the list of the 100 customers you would love. You know who they are locally to you, them big companies that that need your services. Maybe it's secondary schools near you, office blocks near you, manufacturing companies that are the big brand ones near you, that we all have them in every county of these great British Isles. Write that list of 100 down and work out how you're going to get in front of them. In most people, we always say this on the pod, in most situations, in most businesses, just 10 more great customers changes the game. If you've got 10 customers that are all paying you £20,000 a year each, imagine what that would do, and then when you realise it's only a small amount that can just game change everything. I think about like Teddy Tastic, we did that as well. We really focus on, we just need to get Butlins, we just need to get Centre Parks, we just need to get Haven, and all of those people are our customers because we had that, laser focus on how we get them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And like you say, it's the elephant thing, isn't it?
Sorry, I was just about to say, removing noise is a big part of what we need to do as business owners.
Because the second half of that question as well, you're also saying that you're going to start a podcast and do PPC and a YouTube channel. You don't need to do any of that stuff. You don't need to do any of that stuff. That's a nice to have, not a must have.
Because you don't need 1 million customers. No. You're not running Primark. You're not running, John Lewis or Sainsbury's. You just probably need 500 good customers. Probably not even 500, 150 good customers.
Yeah. If we could have, like you say, if we could have 10 more, some of our larger clients, the multinationals, if we could have 10 more of those, they would literally take us to a whole different level. A whole different level.
We've how many times have we said that, JB, on this show? That's a very regular.
Dozens.
Especially in B2B world.
Yeah, for sure. Right, have you got any other questions that you'd like to ask Jimbo before we let you on your way, my friend?
Just one, the very, very final question that was on there, question 3, James. It was more about the long-term planning. You talk about your fast pounds, your slow pounds. The long-term planning for the business, I wouldn't mind getting to the point where in probably more towards 5 years, we have a building to operate from. So we've got an immersive safety business operating from there with multi-scenarios, etc. in there. Is there anything that I could be doing? And I know that it could be just as easy as getting more clients, but is there anything that I could be doing now that will help to sort of safeguard that in 5 years' time, to sort of try and get the planning in place now?
Well, first of all, stop saying 5 years' time. Why are we waiting 5 years? Try and do it in 18 months or next year.
Okay.
Why are we waiting half a
I'd love
decade?
to. I am ambitious.
Remove all of that stupid 5 years. Just do it next year. So work it. So right, well, how much money do we need to buy a building? Okay, we need £75,000. Maybe that's the deposit, because we're going to be putting down, 10, 15, 20% plus the fees. Maybe let's say it's £100,000. Let's keep the maths nice and easy. And we're going to buy a £500,000 building. So we need £100,000 and we need to show taxable profits of £100,000. Over the next 2 years, you work out, right, what revenue do I need to make that profit happen so that I've got that deposit? And then you reverse engineer it, and then you become the salesperson that's going to build a business that has that. And I believe that you absolutely can.
Yeah, fantastic. And is there anything that the banks would like to see? If you had to get a mortgage, what would they like to see in terms of your accounts or profit and
trading?
loss?
Yeah, good accounts. And
Okay.
you understanding your accounts. They like certain cover ratios if you're going to borrow money, but if you're buying a building to operate out of, you need 25% deposit plus the stamp duty and your legal fees, and a good set of accounts for 2 years consistently. But you want to be showing good profits, 100,000 profit consistently and up.
Yeah, and that's the sort of thing, like you said, if we could get those 10 more clients, then that'll supersize it. That'll supersize it.
Well, when you get them rather than if you get them.
Oh, it's been a positive.
When we get them.
You do trainings on mental first aid. Come on, Scott. Drink some of your own Kool-Aid here. Come on, we need some PMA.
And the business that we're looking to push out going forward is something about behavioural science. So it's understanding how to change your team's mentality. So I should be way better at this.
Come on.
The best
Drink your
way
own
of
Kool-Aid.
getting, if this was my business, I'll be buying a fire extinguisher company or something that folds in so people need you more, and you use that buying vendor finance that'll push the profits up, push the revenues up. Hopefully they come with a couple of team members that you can leverage to do more things for the existing business, and bada bing, bada boom, winner, chicken dinner, bish, bash, bosh, you got some dosh.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
There you go.
What a lovely conversation. You sound like a wonderful man. Thank you for your service to our great country as well through the military. We don't say that enough, do we, as British people? You've served us in the military and the fire service. So thank you, Scott, for what
We
you
don't
do.
have many military left.
No, I suppose we don't these days.
Do you know how many you've got? So that's 65,000 soldiers, isn't it?
It is something like that, and I think they're starting to get towards the American model where quite a lot of them are reserves rather than full time. They've got proper jobs and then they're reserves.
Is that the way it works in America? Didn't know that.
I think America. Yeah, I think they might be at 51% reserves.
Wow. Every day's a school day. Learn something new every day. Right, Scott, if I am a multinational company that are just having fires all over the gaff, and I'm based an hour from Leicestershire, and I'm thinking, I just need to sort this out, and I've got so much money to spend on the services, where should I go?
So our website is www.1cstc.co.uk. I'm trying to be active on LinkedIn. If you just look for Scott Matthew on LinkedIn and any of the social medias, you'll find us there.
Awesome stuff. Thank you very much. You sound like a wonderful guy. We wish you well. Let us know how you get on knocking some doors as well. Come back in 6 months' time and give us an update on what bashing a few doors has done for you.
We'll see you in September. It's masterclass, and we'll tell you.
Oh, yeah, we're getting a little update then.
Look forward to seeing you there and hearing all the news.
Awesome stuff. Thanks for being on the show, mate.
Much thanks for your time, everyone.
Take care. Cheers, pal. All the best.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Well, if there was an award for the nicest bloke we've ever spoken to on the podcast, I reckon Scott might just win it, What a lovely fella. Right. It's time for this. It's time for the 8 traits of the greats. It's the point of the show where award-winning entrepreneur James Sinclair, Claire, rates our guests on the 8 traits that he defines make up great success. And I know what you're thinking, who the bloody hell is he to define what success is? He is the epitome of success.
Shut up.
Isn't he? He's the epitome of it.
Number 1, starting with the end in mind. How are we going with that?
Oh, I'd give half a point, I think, for that.
Half a point for that. Passionate about their cause.
Oh, he loves a bit of fire, this fella.
Number 3, untold amounts of resilience.
Well, we're not sure in this business, but you're not a firefighter and a soldier without having resilience. Give him the point. Give him the full point.
They master relationships with people.
Yes, I thought he was a lovely fella.
Commercial awareness.
That you cannot have. No, half. He can't have that.
They innovate so they don't evaporate. Talking about it, we're not doing it.
Yep.
They're master marketeers.
No, we can't.
No, I can't have that. They stay teachable and curious.
Oh, we could have that in abundance.
Well, he's a 4.5. It's time for the big song.
Oh, here we go.
Sung by Jane Burt.
Okay, it's time for the great song. It's not a 1, The entrepreneurial journey's not done. It's not a 2. There is some super work to do. He's on a 3. That needs to think his business for me. It's a 4. A few tweaks and he can have much more. It's a 4. It is a 4. He's got a 4 and a half, which we haven't, which we haven't made allowances for. I thought I was going to get away with that because Chuds had gone to go get lunch. He turned back up, looked furious, I tell you.
So I'll now read that out in English for you.
Please.
So it's a 4, a few tweaks, and they can have much more, which I think is a nice summary.
I think that's fair, isn't it?
And this
4.5,
song
ain't bad.
was the lyrics by Jonathan the Sparky, who watches us. Do you know what Jonathan is to you? You're like Elton John, and he's Bernie Topping.
He is.
Is it Bernie? What's his Topping? The guy that wrote all of Elton John's lyrics.
He wrote the lyrics and he wrote the music, didn't he? There we go.
Good partnership that worked
That's a
out for
good
them
point.
too.
I'll tell you what, they are to music, or we are to podcasting, aren't
Yeah,
they?
that's it,
there
baby.
You go. Right, it's now time for this before we wrap up.
Hey, and a bit.
Your go, babe.
Business knowledge and it's fun.
Which one's clever and which one's dumb?
Izzy Wizzy, let's get quiz.
Let's get quizzy indeed. It's time for the business quiz.
We got very woke here. How many workers in the UK experienced work-related ill health in 2024?
All of them. Thanks for tuning in. How many workers in the UK experienced work-related ill health in 2024?
Okay, right. So should we work this as a
track
dual one?
6 days and stuff.
I'm sure we do, yeah.
I mean,
I'm sure we do, yeah. Well, I think we need to remove 10 million from the workforce. There's 70 million people here. 10 million would be kids and older people not in work, or is it going to be a bit more than that? I reckon the workforce is 45 million. 15 million have retired and at school.
Yeah, it's got to be, isn't it? 40 odd. Yeah.
You going 40 or 45 million?
Workers, I reckon there's got to be... Yeah, 40 million, I reckon.
Yeah, let's go 40 million.
40 million, and I reckon 60% had some time off.
Yeah, I think so. 6, 12, 18.
6, 12, 24 million.
24 million. Look, we're doing this dual. We've never done this before.
We've never done this before. It's a first, an exclusive for the podcast. That's it. We're not such a good team, no?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
1.7 million.
Shut up, they did.
Well, someone's like, I mean, what are we saying here? I mean, I was thinking of a cold or something like that.
Yeah, I was thinking of a sick day.
Top 3 industries for work-related
here we
illness
go.
in the past year: human health and social work, public admin, and education.
Yeah, I can see that.
604,000 workers sustain a non-fertility.
Try that again.
604,000 workers sustained a non-fatal injury at work.
Wow.
I don't think we understood the question here.
I reckon it's about the same that get...
I think we just said someone's had a cold.
Yeah. we didn't see serious sickness. We just went, yeah, they've had a day
I think
off
this
sick.
is something that's happened at work.
That's made them very ill.
Work-related ill health. It's something that's
Which is
happened at work.
probably
so
like
they've run over by a forklift or something like that.
Yeah.
And burnt themselves at work.
Or they've been off for they've had a doctor's note.
Right. Then 33.7 million work days were lost to illness and non-fatal workplace injuries in
that
2024.
I find that really hard to believe.
We didn't understand the question.
We didn't.
We answered that together, Chad.
We
for the
let
first
ourselves
time.
down.
We tried to work together.
It didn't work.
And it didn't work. It didn't work.
Turns out we are a great team in terms of content, not in terms of knowledge.
That idea's gone up in smoke.
Oh, it's very good.
Got any fire jokes?
You saved us.
You're hot.
Dear God. Right, let's end this, shall we? Because we've got to help the young.
Help the young.
In 5 minutes' time and eat a curry in between time. Quick, sell them something.
Yes, ladies and gents, if you've been loving our podcasts and videos, why not come along to one of our events? We're running Business Masterclass, a big 2-day event, which our guest today is coming along to.
Can we just reiterate here as well? You say we. I know that you speak, because great leaders talk about us and they, not I and me. But can you just reiterate that you're going to teach us stuff? It's not me as well. Because I ain't going to that. That guy's clearly an idiot.
Well, yeah, so Business Masterclass, I'll be on stage for 2 days teaching you all the stuff that I've learned over the last 2 decades in entrepreneurship and business to grow your business for a few £100. You can join us in the room in London at the ILEC, which is sort of Chelsea way. You've been
Earls Court.
Earls Court, that's exactly that.
It's the best 2 days if you're a small business owner, best 2 days that you could invest into your business. Genuinely.
I agree.
Of course, you're going to say it. What do you reckon, Judge? Do you think it's really?
Yeah,
he agrees.
He agrees. Thanks very much for watching, and we will see you when you're older.
Ta-da.
Thanks for watching today, gang. I hope you enjoyed the show. Now, look, we're looking for some great businesses to come on the podcast. If you've got challenges, but you're desperate to grow your business and you can't necessarily work out how to do it on your own, you'll be a perfect candidate to come here on the podcast. It's absolutely free to come on the show. Go to my website, jamessinclair.net, and there's a podcast button. Click on the podcast button, fill in the application form, and we'll do our very best to get you on the show and try and grow your business. If you're loving the podcast, make sure you subscribe to the channel by clicking here. And why not give this one a watch? I think you'll like it.